The sky cracked open like glass, and Superman wasn't himself anymore. Cities fell, not by villain hands, but by the fists of Earth's last son. His eyes glowed red, but there was no mercy left in them. The League tried. They begged. They bled. But when gods go mad, prayers fall silent. Only one didn't run. Only one lit a cigar, unsheathed his claws, and said, "I'll handle it." Wolverine was done waiting. The world never expected it. Not from him. Superman was hope, the light, the last line between humanity and oblivion. And yet, in a moment that scorched itself into history, he became the very thing he swore to protect the world from. It started with a flicker, a glitch in his voice, a hesitation in his smile. People noticed it, but brushed it off. The man of steel doesn't falter. He doesn't tremble. But then the tremble became silence, and the silence exploded into screams. Metropolis was the first to feel it. A sonic boom shattered the skyline as Superman, eyes flaring with a red more vicious than fire, descended like a god with no prayer left in him. Buildings cracked in half under the shock waves of his presence. Civilians scrambled for cover. Some ran, some froze. Most just stared, unable to believe the impossible was happening. Superman was attacking, not possessed, not controlled. He was fully conscious, just not himself. The virus, a psychic mind trigger encoded in alien tech left by Brainiac, had activated. It was buried in his subconscious since their last battle, waiting. It didn't twist his thoughts. It amplified them. It didn't take away his morality. It made him believe he had evolved past it. He hovered above the city, face blank, as drones and jets approached. "Weapons," he said, almost bored. With a flick of his hand, the sky lit up as steel and fire turned to dust. No effort, no hesitation. The Justice League arrived, what was left of them. Wonder Woman came first, shield raised, voice steady but heartbreaking. She pleaded. He didn't even look at her. She threw her lasso. He burned it mid-air. The next second, she was slammed through 4 buildings before crashing into the harbor. Alive, barely. Flash tried next. A blur of red light, looping around Clark's body, looking for pressure points, weaknesses, anything. Superman didn't move. His eyes simply flared again, and the entire block went white. Flash didn't die, but he didn't run again either. Batman wasn't even in the fight. He knew better. He watched from a satellite, fingers frozen on a silent keyboard. For the first time in his life, Bruce Wayne didn't have a plan. Superman wasn't fighting anymore. He was executing. He spoke only once, voice calm like a whisper through a storm. "This world is inefficient. I will save it by starting over." Across the globe, chaos ignited. News anchors wept on live broadcasts. Cities activated doomsday protocols designed specifically for him, things he once helped them create. Kryptonite warheads, red sun radiation generators, phantom zone projectors. Nothing worked. And then came the moment that shifted everything. He destroyed the United Nations headquarters. No warning, no speech, just vaporized it. Diplomacy died in 1 second. That was the end of politics, the beginning of apocalypse. The X-Men felt the dimensional rift days earlier. Something was shaking reality, even from a universe away. Professor X, tuned into the cosmic hum of multiversal balance, knew it wasn't just a threat. It was a rupture. They crossed over quietly, not to fight, but to prepare. And Logan, sitting on the edge of a rooftop in the broken city, watched it all happen with cold, calculating silence. He wasn't a god. He wasn't a savior. But he knew monsters. He had become one before. And he knew when a monster wasn't going to stop, not because it couldn't, but because it believed it was right. Logan lit a cigar. The smoke curled in the blood-colored sky. "I seen too many men lose their heads," he muttered to no one. But none ever took the whole damn world with them. Storm wanted to go with him. So did Cyclops. Xavier warned them. Logan is the only one who might reach him, or end him. Not because he was stronger, but because Logan didn't care if he died doing it. Logan geared up quietly, not in spandex, not in team colors, Just a leather jacket, scorched and torn. A few scraps of red sun alloy Charles had forged into his claws. And one final gift, a kryptonite shard surgically embedded into his arm, close to the bone, beneath the adamantium. Hidden. Last resort. He didn't say goodbye. He didn't promise anything. He just looked back once, then stepped off the jet. Superman was in the ruins of Metropolis, watching the horizon like he was already bored of Earth. Fires burned around him, reflecting in his eyes like dying stars. Logan walked straight toward him, casual as ever. People screamed for him to stop. He didn't blink. Superman turned. Their eyes met. "You think you're here to save them?" Clark asked. Logan shook his head, cigar still in his teeth. "Nah, I'm here to save you, bub. From yourself." Clark tilted his head, something like amusement flickering in his expression. "You can't kill me." Logan grinned. "Didn't say I could. Said I would." The world didn't sleep that night. Governments, heroes, warlords, and civilians all stared at the same horrifying truth. Superman was no longer Earth's protector. He was its judge, jury, and soon executioner. In the ashes of Metropolis, Superman stood tall, untouched by fire or fear. His cape was tattered, but his gaze never wavered. Satellites caught him scanning the globe, as if deciding which city to dismantle next. It wasn't rage. It was logic. Calculated, cold, mechanical. That was worse. In bunkers under mountains and vaults beneath oceans, humanity activated its last-ditch plans, things built in secret for this exact nightmare. Red Sun satellites launched. Kryptonite mines were opened. Even Lex Luthor, hiding in a reinforced bunker laced with every anti-Kryptonian weapon ever devised, looked into the camera and admitted, "I warned you." But nothing worked. Red Sun pulses couldn't pierce his new energy shield, self-generated from raw solar absorption. Kryptonite? He inhaled the gas, eyes glowing brighter, almost amused. Humanity had spent decades preparing for an out-of-control Superman. But this wasn't that. This was something far beyond what their backup plans were built to contain. And still one man was walking toward him. Wolverine didn't wait for orders. Orders were for people who believed they had time. He moved through burning streets like a ghost, watching families run, rescue teams crumble, heroes fail. He didn't speak to anyone, didn't need to. People saw the claws, the eyes, the walk, and they knew. He wasn't here to talk. He was here to end something. Back at Xavier's compound, now acting as a temporary interdimensional embassy, Professor X reached out to the minds of Earth's defenders. Some were hiding, some were broken. A few still wanted to try talking, but not Logan. "You know what has to happen," Xavier said, through the psychic link. "I know," Logan growled. "Ain't proud of it, but I'll do it. He's faster, stronger, invincible." "Yeah," Logan replied, "but I'm meaner." And that was the truth. Logan wasn't built for flight or glory. He was built for one thing, finishing the fight no one else could. Around the world, heroes tried to regroup. Green Lanterns from off-world approached Earth, only to be vaporized before entering the atmosphere. Magic users cast containment spells, shattered by a wave of heat vision. Even Dr. Fate collapsed trying to glimpse Clark's future. There was none. He was off the path. Beyond fate, beyond redemption. The Justice League, or what was left of it, began to fracture. Some still believed in Clark. Others whispered of putting him down. Batman, silent since the UN fell, finally spoke through a secure channel. "There's only one chance left. Logan. Let him do what we can." No one argued. Superman had left Metropolis behind. He was headed east now, flying slow, like a predator letting the world watch. Istanbul, Mumbai, Beijing. He hovered above each city for moments, as if weighing them. Then he moved on, leaving shockwaves that cracked windows and hope alike. In the chaos, mutant kind was quiet, observing, calculating. Magneto, for once, didn't threaten. He simply said, if he wins, there won't be anything left to control. Even the villains went underground. The Joker disappeared. Darkseid paused his invasion plans. Apocalypse said only one word when shown the footage. impressive. And through it all, Logan kept moving. He didn't care about the politics, didn't care about the stakes. He cared about one thing: stopping a man who had become a weapon too dangerous to exist. Charles had loaded him with everything: intel, strategy, fail-safes. The kryptonite shard in his arm pulsed with every heartbeat. It hurt like hell, but he'd need it. He hoped he wouldn't, but he would. As Logan moved toward the war zone, children watched him from alleyways. Some reached out. "Are you going to stop Superman?" one girl asked, her eyes wide. Logan crouched beside her, handed her his dog tag. "You hang on to this, kid. If I don't come back, you tell him I tried." She nodded, clutching it like treasure. Behind the scenes, the world's remaining leaders debated launching a kryptonite nuke. But the risk was global. Fallout would poison the atmosphere. Billions could die. The world could win the fight and still lose the planet. So they waited on one man. Superman's next target was Tokyo. He hovered above Mount Fuji, staring at it like a puzzle he needed to solve. Fighter jets scrambled around him, like flies trying to irritate a lion. He didn't swat them. He didn't need to. Their engines melted midair. Pilots ejected, praying for mercy. That's when Logan caught up. The confrontation was coming. Xavier reached out mentally one last time. "Logan, remember who he was?" "I do," Logan thought back. "That's why this hurts. You don't have to do it alone. I always do." The X-Men didn't argue. They knew what it meant when Logan walked into a fight alone. This wasn't a suicide mission. It was a choice. A last card. A man with nothing left to prove, going up against a god who had already lost himself. In Tokyo, Superman sensed him, turned midair, saw Logan standing on a rooftop, claws extended, body ready, mind sharp. No speeches, no warnings, no backup. Just one man built to survive hell, walking straight into it. They faced each other above a broken city, one a fallen god, the other a mortal built from pain and rage. Superman hovered, motionless. No emotion, no fear. The heat around him shimmered like a second skin. A silent warning: come closer and burn. Wolverine didn't stop. Boots crushed broken glass with each step. His claws slid out with a familiar snick, slicing through the tension in the air. The streets were dead quiet now. Cameras were rolling. Satellites zoomed in. The whole world watched a suicide mission dressed in leather and smoke. "You won't win," Superman said, voice deeper, colder than ever. "Didn't come to win," Logan growled, eyes locked on his target. "Came to end it." Before the words even settled, Clark moved. One moment, he was floating. The next, he was there, fist cocked, a sonic boom trailing behind him. Logan barely ducked. The punch hit the building behind him, and it ceased to exist. Concrete exploded like shrapnel, raining down for blocks. Logan rolled, sprung, slashed. Metal met heat as his claws scraped Superman's chest, and did nothing. Superman blinked, unimpressed, and backhanded him across the street. Logan hit a car, then a wall, then another car. He got up, bleeding, coughing, grinning. "I've fought gods before," he spat blood. "None of them were this whiny." Superman descended, calmly walking now, like a teacher about to discipline a child. His eyes lit red, twin beams of destruction fired. But Logan was already in the air, leaping like a missile. This time, the claws hit the mark. He drove them into Superman's side, slicing just deep enough to make the unthinkable happen. Blood. Clark growled, not in pain, in surprise. Logan twisted, shoving both claws in deeper. "You bleed," he muttered, voice gravel and grit. "That means you break." Superman grabbed him by the throat and flew straight up. The sky tore apart as they rocketed into the clouds, through the stratosphere, into orbit. Logan couldn't breathe, couldn't move, could barely think, but he wouldn't let go. Superman flung him back toward Earth like trash. Logan streaked down like a meteor, crashing through 3 layers of atmosphere and slamming into Tokyo Bay. The explosion made a new crater in the ocean. He floated for a moment, unconscious, then twitched, then moved, then stood. "You gotta do better than that," he rasped. Superman heard from orbit and returned like a thunderbolt. The second round was uglier, faster, personal. Superman punched a crater into the earth. Logan crawled out. Logan slashed Clark's cheek. It healed mid-swing. Superman grabbed him, spun him, hurled him across miles. Logan landed on a bridge, got up, came back, over and over, like a force of nature that refused to die. And that's what shook Superman. Not the strength, not the pain, the refusal to give up. "You're delaying the inevitable," Clark shouted, frustrated now. "No," Logan snarled, clawing up his torn jacket. "I'm showing the world you can be stopped." Superman rushed him again. This time, Logan let him come. He waited until the last second, then extended just one claw, the one laced with kryptonite, hidden beneath flesh, nestled in his right forearm like a ticking bomb. It pierced Superman's side. Not deep, but enough. Clark screamed. The god finally cried out. He stumbled back, eyes wide with shock. The wound didn't heal. The skin sizzled. The air smelled of burning flesh. "Yeah," Logan said, wiping blood from his mouth. "Didn't see that coming, did ya?" Superman tried to focus, tried to stand tall, but the infection was spreading. Kryptonite in the bloodstream. His vision blurred. Muscles twitched. The heat vision flickered, but died mid-glow. Logan walked toward him slowly, like a beast closing in on a wounded lion. "You were never invincible," he said. "We just believed you were. That was your real power." Superman dropped to one knee. Logan stood over him, claws ready. The world held its breath. And then something changed. Clark looked up, and for a second, he looked like Clark. Not the machine, not the virus, just a man, terrified of what he'd become. "I didn't want this," he whispered. "I wanted to save them." "You don't save people by ruling M," Logan said quietly. "You save M by standing with M, bleeding with M, dying if you have to." Superman closed his eyes. The red glow faded. His breathing slowed. The virus fought, screamed, burned behind his eyes. But Logan's words cut deeper than the kryptonite. Clark grabbed Logan's wrist, not to attack, but to guide the claw deeper. Logan hesitated. "I deserve it," Clark whispered. "You don't get to choose," Logan replied. "You fight it. You keep fighting." Superman nodded weakly, then collapsed, unconscious, not dead. The kryptonite was working, but so were the words. Logan dropped to one knee, exhausted. He looked around. No more fire, no more screams, just wind. He lit a cigar with shaking hands. "Guess you ain't unstoppable after all." The silence didn't last. It never does. The moment Superman hit the ground, the world thought it was over. Cameras zoomed in. Commentators spoke too soon. Hope dared to breathe again. But deep beneath Clark's skin, the virus wasn't done. It didn't scream. It adapted. Logan felt it before anyone else. The air shifted. The ground vibrated. The kryptonite shard in his arm burned, like a star going supernova. He looked down at Superman's chest just in time to see the veins darken again, the pulse spike, the eyes flicker red. "Ah hell," Logan muttered. "You just don't know when to stay down." Superman's body rose off the ground slowly, unnaturally, like strings were pulling him skyward. His fists clenched. The pain twisted his face, but the mercy was gone again, buried under cold calculation. "I cannot fail," Clark said, voice fractured, layered wrong. "The cost is acceptable." Logan stood, legs shaking, healing factor screaming. "Yeah? Well, so's mine." Before Superman could fire his heat vision, Logan lunged, straight at him, reckless, all in. Clark reacted on instinct, grabbing Logan by the torso and blasting upward. They broke the sound barrier in seconds. The clouds tore apart. The sky darkened. Oxygen vanished. Below them, the earth curved into view, beautiful and fragile, and one bad decision away from extinction. Superman tightened his grip. "You're persistent," he said, "but irrelevant." Logan laughed, airless and raw. "Funny. Folks been telling me that my whole life." He drove both claws forward, not into Clark's chest, into himself. The adamantium pierced through muscle and bone, shattering the containment casing around the kryptonite shard. Green light exploded outward, flooding the space between them like toxic sunlight. Superman screamed, not in anger, in agony. The sound carried across the upper atmosphere, rattling satellites and shaking space stations. His grip loosened. His strength bled away. The virus recoiled, thrashing, trying to escape the radiation flooding Clark's system. Logan wrapped his arms around Superman, locking them together. "You ain't doing this alone," Logan growled through clenched teeth. "If you fall, I fall with you." Superman looked at him, really looked this time. The pain stripped away the lie. The god fell apart, leaving the man behind. "Logan," Clark whispered. "You'll die." Logan shrugged, teeth bared in a grin that tasted like blood. "Yeah, but I'll die doing the one thing I'm good at, stopping monsters." They began to fall, straight back toward Earth. Atmosphere tore at them like fire. Logan's skin burned away, healing as fast as it could, nerves screaming. Superman tried to pull away to slow them, but the kryptonite radiation poisoned every thought, every muscle. The world watched two streaks of fire falling from the sky. One green, one red. Governments scrambled. Heroes screamed into comms. Xavier dropped to his knees, clutching his head as Logan's mind burned brighter than any he had ever known. "Logan," Charles whispered, "you don't have to." "Yes, I do," Logan replied, calm now. "This is the part where it ends." Superman regained clarity in fragments. Memories flashed, Lois smiling. Jonathan Kent's hand on his shoulder. The sound of laughter in a small Kansas home. "I'm sorry," Clark said, tears boiling away before they could fall. "I failed them." "No," Logan answered. "You forgot, M. Big difference." They were seconds from impact now. Oceans below, continents racing upward. Superman made one last attempt, forcing his body to twist, angling them away from cities, away from land. Even broken, he chose to protect. That choice mattered. They hit the upper atmosphere like a meteor strike. Shockwaves rippled across the globe. The ocean split beneath them, forming a crater miles wide as steam and fire erupted into the sky. Deep below the surface, in crushing darkness, the force finally tore them apart. Superman sank, unconscious, powerless, but alive. Logan kept falling. His healing factor fought valiantly, stubborn to the end. But even it had limits. Flesh vaporized, muscle shredded, organs failed. Still, his hand stayed clenched around the kryptonite shard. Still, he didn't let go. In those final seconds, Logan didn't think about war or heroes or legends. He thought about Jean, about snow-covered forests, about a life that never gave him peace, but gave him purpose. "Worth it," he whispered, as the darkness closed in. Hours later, the world changed. The oceans calmed. The skies cleared. Superman was found, barely alive, washed ashore on a deserted island, powerless, human weeping. And far below, resting on the ocean floor, they found the remains of Wolverine, an adamantium skeleton, one arm extended upward, still holding the green glowing shard that saved the world. The war was over, but the price would never be forgotten. The sky didn't roar anymore. For the first time in days, the wind carried no ash, no shockwaves, just silence, the kind of silence that hangs heavy after something holy has been broken. They found Superman alone on a beach at dawn, not hovering, not glowing, just sitting in wet sand, his cape shredded, eyes hollow. A man, not a god, weak, mortal. He didn't speak when the helicopters landed. He didn't fight when they approached. He didn't resist as they took him away. He just whispered, "Is he gone?" They couldn't answer him, not right away, because the answer hurt. At the bottom of the Pacific, in the deepest trench not yet named by any map, a Black Ops dive team recovered the final piece of history. It wasn't a body. It wasn't even a man. It was adamantium, scarred, shattered, but unmistakable. Logan's skeleton, still crouched, still holding the shard of kryptonite in his right hand, unmoving, unyielding, unforgiving. The world watched in silence as the image went global. No speeches, no edits, just a single frame, the remains of Wolverine, locked in eternal resistance. And just like that, the world remembered what sacrifice looked like. Superman was taken to a secured, undisclosed facility. No cages, no shackles. He didn't need them. He never tried to leave. He didn't speak to anyone, not even Bruce. Not until Charles Xavier came. The professor rolled into the room, quiet, respectful, powerful in his calm. Clark didn't look up, not until he heard the voice, not in his ears, but in his mind. "You're not the first to lose control," Xavier said, "but you may be the first to survive it." Superman's eyes welled up. "He died because of me." "No," Xavier replied. "He died for you." Clark gritted his teeth. "That's not better." "No," the professor said, "but it means you still have a choice. Live. Remember. Do better." Clark fell to his knees. He cried for hours. A week later, Superman disappeared. No jet, no message, no boom in the sky. Just gone. Some said he flew into the sun, seeking penance. Others said he buried himself deep inside the Earth's core to sleep forever. A few believed he was still watching, waiting for the world to forgive him. But he didn't ask for forgiveness. He just left, and the world moved on, but not without scars. Metropolis was never rebuilt. Instead, it became a memorial city, open to no one, untouched, left in ruins as a reminder. At the heart of it stood a statue, taller than anything else in the skyline. Not of Superman, but of Logan. Not in costume, no X-Men gear, just a man, hunched forward, claws out, eyes locked ahead with fire and fury. Below his feet, carved into stone, were 3 words. He didn't run. Wolverine became more than myth, more than mutant. He became a lesson in courage, in sacrifice, in doing the right thing, even when it breaks you. The new generation of heroes carried dog tags. They wore leather jackets. They studied not just Superman's fall, but Logan's stand. Years passed. One night, under a stormlit sky, a young mutant boy stood at the base of the statue. He held his mother's hand, eyes wide, voice soft. Did he really fight Superman? His mother nodded. Yes. Alone. The boy thought for a moment. Was he scared? She looked up at the rain-soaked monument. No, she whispered. He was ready. The boy smiled, gripping the toy claws on his hands just a little tighter. Back at Xavier's school, the danger room remained sealed. One specific file, locked, Logan Final Protocol, stayed untouched. Until one day, it flickered open on its own. A hologram appeared. Rough, glitchy, voice full of gravel. "Logan, if you're hearing this," he said, lighting a cigar, "then I'm dead. Figures." He took a drag. "Look, I ain't got speeches. I ain't got advice. Just one thing." He leaned forward, eyes burning through the lens. "When the time comes, and it will come, don't wait for someone stronger. Don't hope for someone faster. Be the one. Be the one who says, 'It ends here.'" He paused. "And if you die doing it, die proud." The screen went black. No one said a word for a long time. In the vacuum of space, among the stars, a shape moved. A man, drifting in the corona of the sun. Eyes closed, skin glowing faintly. He whispered the names of the fallen in his sleep. Lois, Jonathan, Bruce, Jean, Logan. And when the solar storms raged too loud to dream, he simply said, "I remember." Because even gods can change, but only because men like Logan proved they should. The end fire.